Everyone worships Big Boy as America's steam titan, but in the shadows, the C&O Allegheny broke the rules, quietly unleashing 7,500 real horsepower through coal-choked mountains. 2 survive. The rest vanished when raw power turned self-destructive. Why did the ultimate locomotive lose everything for winning too much? This isn't the story you expect. Big Boy's name echoes through every rail museum, coffee table book, and YouTube comment section. Union Pacific's massive 484 was built to be seen, photographed, remembered. It starred in its own publicity shots, ran on wide-open Western rails, and even today, it draws crowds on polished excursions. But while the world crowned Big Boy as the ultimate steam colossus, 60 locomotives quietly rolled out of Lima, Ohio, with a different mission entirely. The Chesapeake and Ohio called them Alleghenies. They weren't built for parades or headlines. They were built to conquer the Appalachian Mountains, to move coal, hundreds of loaded hoppers, through grades and curves that broke lesser engines. Most people never saw an Allegheny in person. There were no cross-country tours, no movie cameos, no marketing blitz. Yet each one cost $230,000 in wartime dollars, nearly double the price of other heavy freight engines. That kind of money bought more than just size. It bought a machine with a firebox so large it needed a 6-wheel trailing truck, a boiler with more evaporative surface than any steam locomotive before or since, and the ability to produce nearly 7,500 drawbar horsepower at real freight speeds. That's not a spec for the record books. It's the kind of power that could compress schedules, eliminate helper engines, and change how a railroad did business. But power alone doesn't guarantee fame. Out of the original 60 Alleghenies, only 2 survive. Number 1601, silent under the vaulted ceiling of the Henry Ford Museum, and 1604, resting at the B&O Railroad Museum in Baltimore. The other 58 were cut up for scrap, their stories scattered among technical manuals and the memories of those who worked the coal drags east of the Ohio River. The world remembers Big Boy because it was always meant to be remembered. The Allegheny was built to work, and in the end that's all it ever did. The real battle wasn't just about horsepower, it was about who could turn raw numbers into something a railroad could actually use day after day under the worst conditions America could throw at a machine. Lima's chief engineer, William Woodard, and C&O's mechanical boss, E.L. Mason, weren't chasing headlines. They were chasing a solution to a problem no other railroad wanted: how to move mountains of coal over actual mountains at a speed the modern world demanded. The result was a locomotive that didn't just match the legend of Big Boy. In the right hands, it left it behind. The Allegheny was born from a problem no ordinary locomotive could solve. The Chesapeake and Ohio's main line through the Appalachians wasn't just another stretch of track, it was a relentless climb. Coal trains faced grades up to 1.5%, twisting over mountain ridges with loads that could top 13,500 tons. Every mile demanded more than brute force. It demanded a machine designed to turn raw coal into speed and stamina, not just muscle its way up a hill. William Woodard, Lima's chief engineer, studied the numbers with a kind of obsession. The answer wasn't just bigger wheels or more cylinders, it was a new kind of architecture. The Allegheny's 2-6-6-6 wheel arrangement was radical. A 6-wheel trailing truck under the firebox, unheard of at the time, just to carry the weight of the furnace needed for this fight. The firebox itself stretched over 135 square feet, dwarfing anything that came before. It wasn't just hot, it was a moving inferno, built to devour coal and spit out steam at a rate Appalachia had never seen. At the heart of the machine, a boiler running at 260 pounds per square inch forced steam into 4 massive cylinders, each one 22.5 inches across with a 33-inch stroke. The result was controlled violence. Piston rods hammered at the rails, driving 67-inch box-pock drivers with a rhythm that shook the ground. Every detail was calculated to turn the impossible into routine. 7,240 square feet of evaporative surface, 3 siphons to move heat through the firebox, and a crown sheet nearly 27 feet long. The tender behind it was no less extreme. 25,000 gallons of water, 25 tons of coal, angled tanks to squeeze onto turntables that barely fit the beast. This was not a locomotive built for compromise. It was engineered to pull entire mountains of coal over the ridges day after day at speeds that turned schedules upside down. Woodard's vision wasn't just about winning a horsepower contest. It was about building a tool that could transform the economics of the railroad, one train, one crew, doing the work of 3. Every bolt, every rivet, every fire brick was there for a single purpose: to make the Allegheny the ultimate mountain fighter. Clifton Forge, 1944. The Allegheny is coupled to a dynamometer car, its firebox roaring, its tender brimming with water and coal. On the test sheet, the numbers are cold and precise: 7,498 drawbar horsepower at 42 miles per hour. But on the rails, that figure feels like thunder. No other steam locomotive in North America has ever put that much usable power to the ground at freight speed, not the big boy, not the N&W Class A. The Allegheny isn't straining for a publicity stunt or chasing a speed record. It's hauling 8,000 tons of coal through the mountain grades it was born to conquer, turning schedules that once took double headers and helper engines into a single, relentless push. Every part of the machine is working at its limit. Steam hisses from relief valves, pistons drive the box-pock wheels in a pounding rhythm, and the 6-wheel trailing truck carries the weight of a firebox that glows white-hot. The dynamometer car's needle holds steady, marking a power output that redefines what a steam locomotive can do. This isn't just a test, it's proof. The Allegheny is not a paper champion. It's a king by right of performance, moving the kind of loads that keep foundries running, cities lit, and war trains rolling. The record stands uncontested. In the world of working engines, this is the summit: real power, delivered where it counts, not in a parade, but in the crucible of the Appalachians. Yet even as the numbers climb, a question lingers beneath the triumph. How much can a railroad, any railroad, really use this much force, day after day, without something else giving way? Steam power doesn't forgive. The Allegheny's firebox, wide as a living room and deep enough to swallow a man whole, demanded more than just coal. It demanded everything from the crew who tried to keep up. On a hard run through the mountains, the engine could devour 38 tons of coal in a single hour. That's a full hopper car burned to ash before the next tunnel. Water vanished just as quickly. 25,000 gallons drained from the tender before the engine reached the next division point. Every stop meant another mad dash. Hoses clamped and valves spun as the fireman wiped sweat from his eyes and shoveled more black fuel into the inferno. Keeping an Allegheny alive wasn't a job, it was a trial. The heat inside the cab could blister skin. The pounding rhythm of the pistons shook bolts loose, wore down bearings, and sent maintenance crews scrambling every time the engine rolled into the roundhouse. Shopmen cursed the complexity. The articulated frame, the endless piping, the firebox seams that needed constant inspection. Even with the best hands on the division, the cost of keeping one Allegheny in fighting shape surged far above ordinary engines. Every quarter, the shop bills stacked higher: parts, labor, overtime, until the numbers made even seasoned railroad men uneasy. And sometimes all that effort wasn't enough. When a boiler tube failed or a seam cracked under pressure, the result was instant and merciless. Superheated steam could fill a cab in seconds, leaving no time for warnings or heroics. On a winter night in 1953, 2 men didn't make it out alive: steam, metal, and fire offering no second chances. For every record set and every mountain conquered, the Allegheny exacted a price in sweat, fear, and sometimes lives. The king of steam ruled with a heavy hand, and everyone who worked beneath its crown knew what was at stake. Today, only 2 Alleghenys remain, silent proof that the most powerful solutions can be too extreme to survive. As we chase ever greater machines, the lesson endures. Raw strength means nothing if the world can't bear its cost.